Look at that. Yeah, it's a...
That's a fact, yep.
So we got the story from Insider. Birth control pills could add 10 million doses of hormones to our wastewater every day.
Frogs.
Some of that estrogen may wind up in our taps.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a story I heard about a while back. Hormones from birth control pills can travel through showers, toilets, and washing machines to local wastewater facilities. In his book, Troubled Water, activist Seth Siegel writes that birth control pills add more than 10 million doses of synthetic estrogen to U.S. wastewater every day. From there, the hormones could get discharged into rivers and lakes that serve as sources of drinking water. Only a tiny portion of the estrogen in wastewater makes its way to U.S. taps, but Siegel still thinks we should remove it. So I think maybe it's a bit exaggerated, as if you're like turning the tap water on and there's going to be birth control in it. It looks like it could be an issue.
We all also, aren't we having a fertility crisis?
We are.
What is that all about?
Like we just aren't having enough kids.
Does it mean that people aren't trying enough, or that it's people
There's
aren't
a lot of trying, and there's a lot of not having children.
Is that because they're late? Too late?
What? There's
Older?
that. There's like being older. And then there's being older is one of the things, but there's also been issues of fertility. Like
there's so
I don't
much
have enough
junk
information.
in the food supply.
Yeah.
High fructose corn syrup, aspartame. We have birth control. You have how many oxycodone? How many of these pharmaceuticals that are legal are getting pissed into the water supply?
It's kind of crazy.
What are your guys' thoughts on birth control?
I have lots of thoughts on birth control. You want to hear them?
Yes.
So I went on birth control when I was 16. My doctor said that I had polycystic ovarian syndrome and that I should go on birth control to regulate my cycle. So I did. I did go on birth control. And then I was on it for a very long time. I was on it until I was 33, something like that. And then I went off it because I wanted to have a child. And I had, for that whole period of time, I thought I was depressed. I thought I was maladjusted. I thought I was awkward. I thought I was socially weird. I thought all of these things about myself, that I was morose, miserable. And then I went off birth control, and it literally felt like a dam broke in my entire body and in my brain also, where it was like suddenly I could see everything in color, and I just felt like an entirely different person. And I suddenly really was more outgoing. I liked being around people more. I wasn't really depressed. I mean, I was still miserable because I'm still me, but I wasn't depressed about everything. It was shocking. It was so shocking that I had to go back on it within a month, and I had to wait a little bit to go off it.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's
And then it turned out that I didn't have polycystic ovarian syndrome. I
Jesus.
wasn't
Oh
infertile.
my gosh.
There was no reason for me to be on the pill that entire time. And I had suffered from for a while I was on this pill where if I went into the sun, I would pass out.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Right. And I was in LA. I was like, this is not working.
There's two.
I do not recommend birth control.
There's two big issues. One is the feminist view that birth control has empowered women because now they're free to function, without fear of pregnancy, which could potentially hold them back or whatever. But then there's also the fact that our society has mass medicated young women.
That's correct.
And I'm wondering, have we tracked for the psychological impacts of mass medicating young women?
Well, I've gone through, I've done a little study of other, essentially upper middle class girls in my age group. All of us were put on birth control when we were about 16. Every one of us. And I was like, did you have a reason? Well, my doctor said my periods were weird. And the reason that they say stuff, they give you a reason, is so that your insurance covers it.
Right.
So my insurance covered it for the entire time.
The
I wonder if
doctor
it's
just
different.
wanted you on it, or?
Yeah, the doctors want 16-year-old upper middle class girls in the U.S. on birth control so that they don't have teen pregnancies.
Huh. I mean,